Welcome to the Gonzo Chronicles. I'm your host, Cyrus Alderwood, the official spokesman for Generation X. Stick around. It's going to get weird, as always. Well, welcome to another episode of the Gonzo Chronicles. Today's May 8th. It's been a little while since the last podcast, as usual. Hey, listen, I'm just not gonna. Yeah, I should do this once a week, but I'm not gonna lie, man. I'm just lazy when it comes to having a schedule for anything. I fly by the seat of my pants in life so much, on the fly so much and spontaneous so much that unless something's actually written down, in the daily planner, that it's just hard to do. But I thought I would on the fly do a quick show tonight. Um, I guess we're expecting some storms to roll in. If you're a nerd, stick around. I'm going to do a quick book review on a couple of books actually. Um, and but first of all, we have had some massive storms this week. Not here necessarily where I'm at, but just going through the country in general. The Great Plains, Kansas, Oklahoma, Texas, Missouri. I guess parts of Ohio in the crosshairs, Wisconsin. And out here I am, expecting some pretty heavy storms here tonight in Virginia. And I guess these storms are rolling across the south into Georgia and south of there. So I don't know if you're in any of these rough storms. Just stay safe. Watch out for flooding and just downpours, heavy downpours. I suspect we'll get some of that tonight after the sun goes down, but hey, I hope not. Been looking for some. It's like a bad TV night. It's Wednesday night. There's really not much on, so I found a movie on Hulu. It's a four-part. Actually, I think it's maybe a three-part that I wanted to watch. It's called Storm of the Century. I've seen this movie before. It's actually a Stephen King script that was written. I think this came out in the '90s, but this made-for-TV movie was so very good. Every year, about this time every year, I start looking forward to Halloween again. And no joke, I am again. But this is one of those movies during Halloween month when they show all the horror films on TNT and Sci-Fi and TBS and AMC and all that. That God, I wish they would show this in the stand a little more often. But you seldom see those. Salem's Lot's another one I wish they would show during those times. But no, it's a good thing I own those all on DVD though. But anyway, bad TV night, Storm of the Century. I'm going to watch some of that before the storms roll in here. I just finished a book um, on Audible. This was a really great book too. I tried this book called This Tender Land by William Kent Krueger, and on Audible it's narrated by a guy named Scott Brick. And when you get a book on Audible, and usually the narrators are pretty good. Sometimes the narrators cannot, kind of drag the story down a little bit. But this Tender Land, when I read the description, this seemed like something I thought I might like. So I went ahead and got this for Audible. I just finished it actually yesterday, and this was such a good story. It's not my typical book. Well, I read all kinds of stuff. It's not sci-fi. It's not horror. It's not some action adventure or comedy. This was a true literary piece that I thought was just a great setting and a good storytelling and really good characters and character development. You kind of felt like one of these vagabonds in the story. So I wanted to actually just take a minute and read the description of this from Audible. Then I'm going to give you my opinion of this book. The acclaimed author of Ordinary Grace crafts a powerful novel about an orphan's life changing adventure traveling down America's great rivers during the Great Depression, seeking both a place to call home and a sense of purpose in a world sinking into despair. Ask me, God's right here, in the dirt, in the rain, the sky, the trees, the apples, the stars in the cottonwoods, and you and me, too. It's all connected and it's all God. Sure, this is hard work, but it's good work because it's part of what connects us to this land, this beautiful, tender land. I remember that quote when I was listening to this book. That was a really powerful scene, too, I was listening to. But back to the description. 1932. Located on the banks of the Gilead River in Minnesota, Lincoln School is home to hundreds of Native American boys and girls who have been separated from their families. The only two white boys in the school are orphan brothers Odie and Albert, who, under the watchful eyes of the cruel superintendent Mrs. Brickman, are often in trouble for misdeeds, both real and imagined. The two boys' best friend is Mose, a mute Native American who is also the strongest kid in school. And they find another ally in Cora Frost, a widowed teacher who is raising her little girl Emmy by herself. When tragedy strikes down Mrs. Frost, it's the catalyst for a series of events that will send Odie, Albert, and Mose to rescue Emmy and flee down the river in a canoe, heading for the mighty Mississippi, leaving a dead body in their wake. Soon they are wanted by the law, and they know that Mrs. Brickman will stop at nothing to track them down for dark reasons of her own. Over the course of this unforgettable summer, Odie, Albert, Mose, and Emmy carefully make their way through the small river towns and big cities filled with people who are by turns desperate and generous, cruel and kind. As they search for a place to belong, these four remarkable children will lose their innocence but gain the strength to survive in the face of terrible loss. With his signature pitch perfect, wonderfully evocative prose, William Kent Krueger's This Tender Land shows the magnificent American landscape connects us all, haunts our dreams, and makes us whole. This was a really great story. This was a good literary piece of, I would call it a good piece of Americana. This book actually reminded me of if Mark Twain were alive in the 20s, what he would write. And also at the same time, or excuse me, in the 30s during the Great Depression. And also at the same time, it reminded me, it pulled from just the emotional feel and themes of Steinbeck from something like, say, Grapes of Wrath or Cannery Row, which is one of my favorite books. So this was a really great story. It was almost like Huck Finn and these other four kids are vagabonds on their way. Actually, I'll spoil a little bit of it. They're on their way to St. Louis, or Odie is anyway. They all think they're going to St. Louis because they think they have an aunt there. As they escape this school and this terrible superintendent, which they call the Black Witch, and she is a cruel-hearted piece of garbage. Like I will, and they run into some rough characters along the way. So this is really a coming of age story in many regards, and about how kids sort of keep together. And I love the way the story was told because it was told in like the perspective of Odie. But in the beginning, you sort of get like, have you ever seen Stand By Me? And at the beginning, you hear the narrator, and it's Richard Dreyfuss, who's the narrator of the story. And then at the end, the same character that they're talking about in the movie, he's older now, and he's writing a book, and he's a famous, well-known writer. And anyway, he's typing in there about what happened to all of his friends after that summer. They wrap that book up this way too. Krueger wraps that book up really well. This is the first book I've ever read by William Krueger, but I promise you it won't be the last. That was a masterful piece of storytelling, a good story. Is it a really fast-paced adventure? It has pace, um, but I think it has purpose to the story. So, if you're looking for a fast-paced, thrilling adventure, you're not going to get that. If you're cool with like, Mark Twain type stuff and a bit of a modern twist of it, yeah, absolutely. Pick this book up. This is a great, great book. I also, over the last couple of years, I've actually read a couple of books by David Goggins. One is called "You Can't Hurt Me" or "Can't Hurt Me." I don't know if you know who David Goggins is. This guy's insane, but he was a Navy SEAL. He wrote about his life story, sold like 5 million copies of this book, "Can't Hurt Me," and then followed it up with another book I had on Audible and listened to it not too long ago. The title of it escapes me, but there's some things from that book that kind of stand out. So there's like obviously some lessons. One of the things that he said in this book, and I recommend it. Caution: a lot of foul language in this. This guy uses the f bomb like I use the word the. So anyway, one of them is never set a goal that you can reach. In the late '90s, this guy he said he was an overweight loser with no direction, working a bunch of dead end jobs. To become a Navy SEAL, this cat had to lose 100 pounds in 90 days. And after a lot of attempts, he finally qualified for it. He said that hard goals push you further. He also said that you're in danger of living a life so comfortable and soft that you will die without ever realizing your true potential. Unrealized potential will ruin your life. I believe that. But we're always looking for our lives to be more comfortable and soft, and that really made me think. Yeah, is that a dangerous thing? Probably, if you want to truly live. He did say that comfort is the number one sign of untapped potential. Getting by in a world of AI isn't enough. We're going to be replaced. We have to stretch our boundaries, set goals that we can't reach, be uncomfortable. He also said nobody cares what you did yesterday. What have you done today to better yourself? It's a hard ass attitude, but the more I got into this book, the more I liked it. He said if your last moment of success was 5 to 10 years ago, it's a sign to reinvent yourself. Living in the past is the fastest way to unhappiness. He talked a lot about fear in this book. He said fear was his ultimate guide. The more you face daily fears, the faster you grow. Fear is how you become unrecognizable in a year and unlock enormous fulfillment. He said you want fear in your life because it's good. He also said when you think that you're done, you're only 40% into what your body's capable of doing, that's just a limit we put on ourselves. Um, to be more motivated and driven, we need to become literally obsessed to the point where people think you're freaking nuts. But he didn't say freaking. He said that passion, interest, and purpose are too weak. Obsession is the cure to roadblocks and feelings of I'm lost. Um, you can find a lot of this guy's videos on YouTube. Again, you know, um, caution language, but he's been there and done that. He did say that when you're driven, whatever's in front of you, whether it's in his case, some of the times racism, sexism, injuries were a big part of his, divorce, depression, obesity, tragedy, poverty, whatever. Those things have to be fuel for your metamorphosis. The story can use you, or you can use the story. Choose it wisely. This book is full of a lot of great advice. When you stop blaming other people for your problems, when you stop procrastinating, bitching, complaining about how unfair life is, it is truly amazing what the F you can accomplish with your life. Life is fair or unfair based on the level of action you take. Also, he said pain unlocks the secret doorway to the mind. This guy would do so many things that was just painful physically. He would go past. If this guy had a broken ankle, he'd probably run on it. He probably has before. But anyway, this guy has a really hard ass exterior, but he's got a lot of wisdom underneath. Um, I would definitely recommend checking that out. It's Can't Hurt Me by David Goggins. And so those are really a couple of books that sort of over the last couple of years have made a difference. Kind of made you think that if you could go back in time, which we can't live in the past, that's what Goggins says. If you were 21 again, have you ever listed down 20 things you'd do differently? So this was a challenge I read about. And if I were 21, what are the 20 things I do differently? And I need to write these down because the whole point of that was if you've gotten to the bottom of that, if you're 21, if you've written down 20 things that uh, you should be doing now, then why are you, that you wish you'd done then, why are you not doing them now? If you're not doing them now, you need to start tomorrow. No, actually start today. Um, and this guy actually that wrote that piece, that challenge, um, listed down some really interesting things. First thing he put on his list was I take the Bible more seriously. Yeah, amen to that. I definitely agree. Stay away from negative people. That is something I really wish I'd have done in my younger years too. Watch less of anything and take more action. Bet more on myself than on others. Start building muscle. Never stop physically competing. Invest in personal development. Didn't really do that much when I was younger either. I mean, I wasted time at college and I was wasting money and having a good time more than I was learning and trying to network. Um, he also said that he would invest in more leadership roles in the church. Ask more questions to challenge my worldview. Said he wouldn't marry at the age of 19. I guess he made some mistakes. Um, Read more books about health and wealth and thrillers. And one of the things that I really want to do over the next year, and I've actually started to do this year, is read more books about health. Because a really good piece of advice that I read not too long ago, and this was in Jordan Peterson's book, 12 Rules for Life, and which I've got about 5 hours left in now, or 4 hours on the Audible book. But treat yourself as someone like you were responsible for taking care of. So if you had a child right now and you're responsible for taking care of that kid and that kid's health and development and well-being, would you let your kid drink 4 bottles of soda a day? Then why the hell are you letting yourself do it? Treat yourself like you're valuable enough of that you'd be someone you would be responsible for taking care of because you are. Um, that's a good piece of advice. Anyway, this that's an interesting challenge. If you're listening to this and you want to, I always talk about the writing prompt challenges. Here's another challenge. If you were 21 again, what are the 20 things that you would do differently? Write them down. And if you're not doing them today, why not? Because we've learned, right? It's just sometimes it's that action that holds us back. Hey, I know this is a very different kind of Gonzo Chronicles, but hopefully it's been kind of fun. Good book review, right? This Tender Land. Make sure you pick that up if you're into books like that. I may do this once in a while as I finish a new book, talk a little bit about it. Uh, yeah, Krueger and then David Goggins. If you haven't watched any of his YouTube videos or read his work, you might want to check him out. Like I said, language issue, but if you get through that, you're golden. You're golden, pony boy. All right, thanks again for tuning in to this short episode of the Gonzo Chronicles. I'll be back soon with something goofy, probably. Um, Maybe something cultural. I did watch a little bit of the roast of Tom Brady. Maybe we'll talk about that next time. Anyway, I'll see you guys on down the road. Cheers.